The Double Blues and Redlegs met at Unley Oval on Saturday morning. Sturt began the day in third place, and a win or a draw would keep them there. Norwood, on the other hand, could realistically jump 2 places and still third if they took the points. It only took tall man Jimmy Savage 3 minutes to start things off with the first of his 4 goals for the day, receiving the ball from one of Alex Mackay's 9 kicks and making no mistake with the finish. James Tripodi set up Ben Gogol to level things up, but it was Norwood going into the first break 7 points to the good. The second quarter belonged to the Redlegs with goals to James O'Leary, Stephen Baldasso and in his first game for the under-18 team in 2011, Joshua Pitson. Josh scored 3 goals in his debut at Unley, but he's no stranger to the statisticians with 14 goals for the season with the under-16s. As we celebrate Indigenous round in the SANFL, Josh can proudly boast about his inclusion in the 2010 AFL Kickstart program, which led to him being chosen to represent Australia in the under-15 Flying Boomerangs. Under the expert guidance of Andrew McLeod, the youngsters played a series of matches against under-18 international sides in Tonga. You can bet he won't forget that trip in a hurry. Well done, Josh. Best on ground for the Redlegs was Anthony Giannini with 7 kicks and 10 handballs, while the honours for the Double Blues went to Dylan Matson. The 17-year-old's strength and speed combining to cause Norwood some real trouble across the midfield. Sturt's goals came from the captain, Adam Shearwood. Adam scored another 3 goals on Saturday to move him to 29 for the season and 3rd on the leading goal scorers table. But don't get too excited, Adam, you're still nearly 20 behind North's Michael McMahon. Levi Krause put through Sturt's final goal 24 minutes into the final term, but despite their best efforts, they couldn't close the gap. Another goal would have drawn the scores level, but the Redlegs' defence stood firm. In the end, it was Norwood by just 6 points at the Unley Oval. To say the Panthers are having a difficult season would be a fair bit of an understatement. The under-18 team has had 1 win this year. We'll try to mention it each week to keep the spirits up. But the next win, well, that's anyone's guess. No time soon if they continue on this form. Although it should be noted, South scored 7 times more goals than they managed last week. But even so, they still lost by a massive 12 goals at Woodville Oval. There's one statistic the Panthers won't want repeated. In 11 matches in 2011, they've had 1,428 points scored against them at an average of 129 points per match. That's the worst average points conceded by any team in the history of the competition. There are still 9 fixtures remaining to fix that stat, and they only have to concede an average of 123 points per match or less to beat North's 2009 total of 2,536 points for the season. Okay, you got that? So what about the Eagles? They started this match in 6th place, and win, draw or lose, they would finish in 6th place. But they played like it was a final, and none more so than Matthew Appleton. With 42 disposals for the match, Matthew didn't let up all day. One of the Copper Triangle's most successful exports, the Moonta teenager, combined a huge 32 kicks with 10 handballs to make sure he was a shoo-in for the Macca's Cup MVP award for the round. Needless to say, the 2011 SANFL Academy member was best on ground for the Eagles. And plundering the Panthers' goal was another Matthew. With the South Australian team having the week off from the Under-18 National Championships, the Eagles welcomed Matthew Jacquia back into the lineup, and he showed everyone at the Woodville Oval exactly why he was chosen to represent his state. 5 goals from 18 kicks and a very handy 12 marks too. Good work, Matthew. Best on ground for South was Riley Martin in his 4th match since coming up from the under-16s, while Matthew Raitt was the only multiple goal scorer for South with a goal in each half. So South's average points conceded was slightly improved through this match. They only let through 124 points at Woodville. It was the Eagles by 75 points to remain just outside the 5 in 6th place. The Tigers regained the lead in the 2011 Under-18 competition last week after Port had taken advantage of Glenelg's slip-up to Norwood in round 11. It's coach Tim Lawrence's mission now to ensure that they don't lose the lead again. North Adelaide under coach Heath Uni has significantly improved in 2011. In the first year of the competition, they finished the minor round dead bottom, and then last year they were 7th at the end of September. This year, entering round 13, the Roosters found themselves in 4th place, and with Norwood having just beaten Sturt over at Unley, 3rd position at the end of the day wasn't out of the question. But they had to win first, and the Tigers were having none of that. North started well with goals to Michael Baker and leading goal kicker Michael McMahon, but then it was Glenelg's turn to use the breeze, or should we say gale, because the real winner on Saturday was the weather, with 19 goals being kicked with the wind and only 8 against it. It was a case of which team made the better use of it, and that was Glenelg. A huge 9-goal second quarter was the deal breaker at Brighton Road. Even though the Tigers kicked no goals into the win in the third quarter, the damage had been done. With a few players out through injury and some being called up to the seniors, Glenelg had a few new faces on display on Saturday. Charlie Hender, Dave Power and Jed Redden all made their debuts at this level, and they didn't disappoint with solid performances for their team. Best on ground for the home side was Jonathan Wilson, who managed to score just his 3rd goal for the season. His 21 kicks and 13 handballs gave him a match-high 34 disposals. And once again, Nathan Stark was on the score sheet for the Bays. He scored goals in all but 3 appearances for his team this year. From the South Gambia Football Club, Nathan turns 17 later this month, so plenty of time to make his name in the SANFL, and that's exactly what he's doing. North did very well to score 5 goals into the breeze in the final quarter, but the Tigers were ahead in almost every statistic on the day, including the one that counts the most, the final score. It was Glenelg by 31 points over North. The evening fixture on Saturday was at the Richmond Oval, where Port Adelaide came to play under lights. Westies have players out to college football and others up with the reserves, and so this fixture was always going to be a struggle. Port Adelaide has a serious battle going on with Glenelg for top spot at the moment, and look out if you get in their way. No one was getting in Tim Broomhead's way. The 17-year-old from the Port District Football Club had a blinder in round 13. He scored 6 goals from 25 kicks and 13 handballs to move into 5th spot on the under-18 leading goal scorers ladder. But his 38 disposals wasn't the match high. That stat went to Kane Pedler with 41 disposals on the night. Kane also pulled down 17 marks in this match, ensuring he nailed most of the best on-ground votes for the Bloods, and apart from being on the losing side, he won pretty well every contest on the night. Making an impression for Port Adelaide was 19-year-old Joshua Rosenthal, also from the Port District Football Club. One of the 6 weekly allowable over-age players, Joshua controlled the midfield with 14 kicks and 6 marks. West was in this contest up until half-time, but the Magpies came out after the long break and piled on 8 goals 6 to just 1 behind from the Bloods. That's one way to suck the life out of a match. After that, it was all just possession football for the Magpies, a very useful training drill. To wrap up round 13, Port Adelaide is keeping the pressure on the Tigers, big winners by 89 points over Westies.